So, co-founder and chief executive of Old Gold Racing, Ed Seyfried. It's great to actually have a chance to sit down and have a chat to you, because ever since you first explained to me the concept of Old Gold Racing, I've been so in favour of the idea, because I love the idea of racehorse ownership at an affordable price. And I think what you're doing is great. Tell us a bit more about why and how you got into it.
I got into it from a racing perspective, from a conflagration really of two things. One was my great-grandfather had probably the best racehorse in England in 1940. It was favourite for the Gold Cup in 1941, in 1942, didn't run in either of those races. Then they stopped racing, which was very unfortunate for him. And by the time it was 1945, he came third in the Gold Cup. He jumped the last in first place, but his little old legs couldn't quite get him all the way up that hill. And his silks were old gold, and I wanted to sort of finish off that sentence in a sense. So there was part of that. There's a sort of degree of racing history that I wanted to finish off. And the second part was I have a very, very generous friend who had a number of racehorses. They were here in Ditchett for a while, and he used to grandfather me into his horses. And he would only give me a little percentage, but you only need a little percentage to be really, really enthused. And the visceral difference of owning a tiny bit of a horse compared to not owning a tiny bit of a horse when it's in a race is enormous. And I thought that I could do something with those two things, and working with my colleagues and business partners, we put together Old Gold Racing. And
how's it gone so far?
I think, I mean, I don't want to blow my trumpet, but I'll blow my team's trumpet. I think they have done the most fantastic job. We started at Christmas in 2019, so about 9 months ago. We were almost immediately put on lockdown. Despite that, we've now got 5 horses in training. We've got 2,000 members. We hope by Christmas this year we'll have 4,500 to 5,500 members. All of them owning a tiny fraction of a real racehorse, and hopefully, even when they're watching, because it's the only choice we have at the moment, watching the horses romp home from home on their sofas, hopefully they get that feeling that I got when I was grandfathered into a racehorse.
There's no feeling like it, is there?
There really isn't.
There really isn't. And so what makes Old Gold Racing different to other ownership experiences out there?
I think there are some very, very good companies doing syndicates and racing clubs and that kind of thing. My personal and our company opinion is that a micro ownership is a more tangible, more guttural feel. And we also work very, very hard on delivering the best community, the best experience, so that although we're not a racing club per se, because people own individual shares and individual horses, we are trying to build a really cohesive and coherent group of people who really enjoy and are proud to be part of the Old Gold thing.
I think that's the word, isn't it? The community, because people are engaging with each other online, over Facebook, and even if I put up a post about something to do with Old Gold Racing, people are like, oh yeah, great, I've also got a share in that horse.
We have a following in Australia because you post things every now and then. We do.
That's great.
Bob Pebble has fans in Melbourne.
I love it. But that's a big part of racehorse ownership, isn't it? And when we are allowed back on track, people get to meet each other, they form friendships at the racecourse as well.
That is exactly our plan, and I think obviously we had to think of ways to entertain people at home owning racehorses, and even when there wasn't any racing, we had to find ways of doing it. And Paul Nichols here has been really, really helpful with that, and it's superb. They've done a great job. We are really looking forward to getting back on the racecourse. We've been sponsored by Chase Gin, so we have a Old Gold Range Rover which will turn up, and people will turn up, and on the days that one of the horses is running, we'll have a drink in the car park before racing, and probably, hopefully, more after racing. Obviously, there'll be a designated driver, and we really want people to feel part of a gang, and actually even taking just 3 people racing at the moment because of the COVID-19 restrictions. We've already done that up to a point. And the times that we've been allowed to take horses, and particularly when Darling Malto won at Stratford, you knew that the three people who came with me felt special, and I hope they really did. You know, it was awesome.
Away from the race course, again, when things are back to normal, being able to visit your horses in the yard.
Absolutely.
That's normally an experience that's reserved for owners of horses that have invested a huge amount of money to have that privilege. But with Old Gold Racing, you can still do that. And I've got to say, this morning, having spent time at Ditchett with Paul Nicholls, it is the most beautiful place, and I've learned so much. It's been fascinating, and seeing the horses in person is wonderful. And what else sets you apart? What else can Old Gold Racing members enjoy?
We want to deliver the experience of owning a racehorse for a fraction of the normal price. That means we ask Paul Nicholls here and Paul Webber up in the Midlands and wherever else we go to put our horses as time rolls on, to give us as much behind the scenes footage. We like talking to the stable staff, we like talking to the work riders, and we will, every week, every owner gets into their inbox at the moment some footage. When our exclusive owner app is released, there'll be a tab called My Stables. We hope that people will own more than one horse, or have shares rather in more than one horse, and they'll be able to click onto that. They'll be able to click onto, this is what the horse has been working on this week, this is what the trainer is saying this week, this is where he ran last week, here's a link to racing TV with him storming home up the hill at Cheltenham, or not. And we'd also like to do, and we will do once some of these restrictions are over, some events. So we will do stable yard visits, we'll do off-site events. We want to do an Old Gold Racing event with a marquee and with gin and with drinks and with a band, and just get everyone together and just have fun.
And further down the line, looking into the future, how big do you see Old Gold Racing getting? Where's the limit?
Well, I'd like it to stay on the planet, but I genuinely think we can go global, and I would love it if we, one day when we've got very advanced with our app, that you can click onto the app and it says, where do you want to go racing today? And we'll have shares, micro shares in a horse running at in California or in Victoria or in Bloemfontein, and we would like to do that. There's no reason why we couldn't have members, and as I said earlier, we already have members following racing from Australia here. We've already set up Old Gold Racing South Africa. It's just not quite as advanced as we are in the UK. I really think that people who like staying awake all night and watching the Kentucky Derby should be catered for by Old Gold Racing.
So flat, jumps.
We started in the jumps because my experience was in the jumps, and I had much better contacts in the jumps. We will definitely be going to the flat. We found someone to help us do that.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, someone who's quite well connected in Newmarket, and I'm hoping that she
That's me, by the way.
will lead that forward. It's a slow process. We've got to eat our breakfast before we have lunch. But I'm hoping. I mean, right now it's September 2020. I'm hoping that almost immediately after Christmas that we're ready with some sort of flat offering, and because that would work with the seasons too. And I think, we haven't sat down and written how we're going to have every horse in every yard, but I think it's nice to get a footing in each yard. So we're in Ditchett right now. We've got 3 horses here. We've got 2 with Paul Webber. I think it would be nice perhaps have another one there, and then we'd probably have another one ditch it, and then we would like to have 2, 3 with in a flat yard, and also we're trying to be geographically dispersed too. One of the good things about Ditchett is Paul thinks nothing about driving up to Perth to have a runner, but I think that segmenting things into localities without using too many long words would be helpful.
Great. Well, I wish you all the best of luck for the future for Old Gold Racing.
Thank you very much.
Join up, everyone.
Yes, please do.